Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. A few weeks back, I reviewed the adventure book games from Ravensburger. As part of that review, the Always Bored, Never Boring club members voted to see a playthrough from the Lord of the Rings adventure book game. However, there were a few requests to see one of the scenarios from the Wizard of Oz game. And obviously, I'm feeling in a kind mood because that's what we're going to do today. We're going to play Scenario 1 from the Wizard of Oz adventure book game. If you haven't seen my review for this game series, you might want to check out that video first because I go through all of the rules in detail. However, I will go through things briefly as we play now. As you can see, this scenario is Kansas. Dorothy starts the game sat in the pigsty with a very unhappy pig. We also have an unhappy chicken, a broken wagon, but we also have a happy horse and a happy cow. There are 3 farmhands relaxing in the haystack and a twister approaching from the distance. To complete this scenario, we have to do 4 things. We must encourage the farmhands to fix the wagon and ensure all 4 animals are happy. If at any point all 4 animals are happy, we can discard 1 brain card, 1 heart card and 1 courage card to complete the first challenge, Shiftless Farmhands. The second thing we have to do is visit Professor Marvel. Dorothy has to trudge all the way to the top right corner of the board, discard a courage and 2 wonder cards, and then she completes that objective. Then we must get to the house. Dorothy has to be at the farmhouse. We have to discard a courage card and a brain card to complete the game. However, we also have to have completed all of the previous challenges, and that includes our song challenge for this scenario. In each of the scenarios bar 1, there is a song challenge, which is a challenge that you can complete using a variable number of cards. The more cards you discard to complete the challenge, the better your reward will be. In this case, we have to discard from 1 to 4 wonder cards. Discard 1 wonder card and you will complete the challenge, but you won't get any good benefits, and that may be detrimental to your chances of success later in the campaign. So for this playthrough, I am going to try to complete the song challenge using 4 wonder cards. At the start of the game, I draw 4 cards. And I have drawn Magic, Heart, Wonder and Brains. That's actually a really good opening hand because it's got a Wonder card in there that I need. It also has the Brains and the Heart card that I will need to complete these Shiftless Farmhands, but also there is a Magic card, and none of my objectives require Magic cards, which means I can happily use that Magic card at any point just for extra movement. Because we are playing solo, we also have to deal out a dummy hand of 6 cards. It's Courage, Magic, Brains, 2 Hearts and a Wonder. A really good hand. Our dummy player will not be actually taking any turns, but once per turn I am allowed to swap 1 card from my hand with 1 card from the dummy hand. And that's going to give me the extra options that normally I would get from having other players around the table. We're almost ready to begin, we just need to make sure we understand the special rules for this scenario. They are very simple. First of all, if at any point all of the animals are unhappy, we lose instantly. Additionally, if the twister ever reaches the farmhouse, we lose instantly. We can make animals happy and also fix the wagon by moving the farmhands into a space adjacent to them. So in this scenario, we are going to be balancing moving the farmhands around to keep the animals in check, whilst also collecting the cards and moving around Dorothy to get into the position to complete all of our objectives. Hopefully that all makes sense because we are going to get going. At the start of your turn, you get a movement phase. You get 2 movement points, which you can use to move 1 character 2 spaces or 2 different characters 1 space each. I'm going to use those movement points to move the farmhands. First we're going to move to the barnyard, and because the farmhands are in the barnyard, they can immediately fix the wagon. We flip the wagon to the fixed side. We still have a movement point left, so we're going to move the farmhands back to the haystack, and that completes our movement phase. Next we move into the storytelling phase. In this phase we can discard cards from our hand to gain additional movement points. Also in the storytelling phase we can complete challenges, we can play special cards, we can trade a card with the dummy player, or we can use a Glinda the Good Witch favour token if we have one, which we do not at the moment. So I am going to discard a card from my hand. I am discarding Magic to gain a movement point. We're going to use that movement point to move the farmhands into the pigsty because that's going to cheer the pig up. So we move to there and we flip the pig token. 3 of our animals are happy, but we still have a grumpy chicken. I am now going to do a trade with the dummy player. I'm going to swap my Wonder card, which I want to save for the song challenge later on, for a Magic card. And I will discard that Magic card to move Dorothy 1 space. She is now in the haystack. The haystack is where you need to be to sing the Over the Rainbow song, but I do not have any Wonder cards in my hand. And as I mentioned before, I want to try to complete that challenge using 4 Wonder cards, so I'm going to do it later on. For now, my storytelling phase is over, so I have to draw 2 cards into my hand. I have drawn a heart card and a wonder card. Next we draw a plot card, which is when the game tries to hurt us. And the plot card says move the farmhands to the haystacks, flip the chicken to its grumpy side. If it was already grumpy, flip another happy animal of your choice to the grumpy side, then move the twister one space. So the farmhands move to join Dorothy. Our chicken is already grumpy, so we have to pick a different animal. I guess we will go for the horse. Finally, the twister advances one space. We now start turn 2, we get our movement phase with 2 movement points. We're going to use them both on the farmhands. We're going to head down to cheer up the chicken. It takes both of our movement points to get the farmhands into position, but the chicken is now happy. And we move into our storytelling phase. First of all, I'm going to make a trade. 1 wonder card for 1 heart card. Our dummy player is now holding 3 of the wonder cards we will need. And we have 2 heart cards we don't need, so we're going to discard both of these to move Dorothy 2 spaces. She's heading up to see Professor Marvel. It's a really long way. But 2 movement gets her there. We then draw 2 cards into our hand, 2 more brains, and then we draw another plot card. Move the farmhands to the farmhouse. If the cow is happy, flip it to its grumpy side, move the twister 1 space. So the farmhands go to the farmhouse. They were probably going for a cup of tea, but there's no time for that because the cow is now grumpy. And that twister moves 1 more space. And that finishes our turn. At the start of turn 3 we get 2 movement points. We're going to use 1 to move the farmhands to the cow, and our cow becomes happy again. Who knew farm animals were so temperamental? We have 1 movement point left. I'm not going to waste it on the farmhands, instead I'm going to move Dorothy 1 more space towards Professor Marvel. I'm then going to spend 1 more card, this brain card, to move her 1 additional space. Finally, I'm going to make a trade. Brains for courage. That means in my hand I have a heart card, a brains card, and a courage card. Those are the 3 cards I need to complete shiftless farmhands. That's all I can do for now, so I'm going to draw 2 more cards into my hand. And it's a really good draw because I have a courage card and a wonder card. I need both of those for challenges. But now it's time to draw another plot card. Move the farmhands to the haystacks. If the chicken is happy, flip it to its grumpy side. That is 1 really grumpy chicken. So it's back to the haystack for the farmers, and the chicken token is flipped again. At least the twister didn't move this turn. It's the start of a new turn. We get 2 movement points. We're going to use them both on the farmhands. First to move to the barn, and that will cheer the horse up, and then back to the haystack. We're now going to aim to complete the shiftless farmhands challenge. To do that, we need 2 movement points. To get those points of movement, first I'm going to do a trade. I am switching my wonder card for this heart card. The dummy player now has all 4 wonder cards which I would need to complete the song challenge. However, I also need 2 wonder cards for Professor Marvel. But let's not worry about Professor Marvel just yet, let's deal with these farmhands. From my hand I discard courage and heart. That gives me 2 movement points, enough to get to the chicken. We flip the chicken to its happy side, and at this point we have a happy pig, a happy horse, a happy cow, a happy chicken, and a fixed wagon. And that means we can discard 1 brain card, 1 heart card, and 1 courage card to complete the shiftless farmhands challenge. And it just so happens the 3 cards left in my hand are heart, brains, and courage. We have completed our first challenge. We get to place a completion token on that challenge space. We also get a reward, and the reward is to draw 1 card from the special deck. The card we have drawn is Well Bust My Buttons. This card can be used as any type of story card that you already have in your hand. That's going to be really useful because I need loads of wonder cards to complete this scenario. But my turn is now over, and it should be noted, even though we have completed that challenge with the farmhands, the animals will still continue to get grumpy, and if all 4 are ever grumpy at the same time, we will lose, so the farmhands still have a role to play. Let's draw 2 cards into our hand. It's a really good draw. It's another courage card which we needed, and a magic card that I can discard for movement. Let's see which plot card we get. Move the farmhands to the farmhouse. If the chicken is happy, flip it to its grumpy side, move the twister 2 spaces. This really is the grumpiest chicken. Farmhands go to the farmhouse, chicken gets mardy, twister advances 2 spaces. That twister is just a teensy bit faster than I really would like. It's a new turn. I'm going to use both of my movement points on Dorothy because she really has to get a move on. She's almost at the bridge, but at the moment she does not have the cards necessary to complete the Professor Marvel challenge. She will need a courage and 2 wonder cards, so I have to do a trade. and I am going to trade my magic card for a wonder card. I now have everything I need to complete the Professor Marvel challenge, I just need to get to the end of this path. And unfortunately, I have no cards to discard this turn, so it is straight on to the draw phase. And this is fantastic, I have drawn Brains and Wonder, really useful cards. And now we draw a plot card. We have to move the farmhands to the farmhouse, flip the cow to the grumpy side, and then move the twister one space. Well, the farmhands were already at the farmhouse, the cow is now grumpy, and the twister advances into the red zone. Once it's in the red zone, it may start to move faster. We start a new phase, we get 2 movement points, we're giving them both to Dorothy because she wants to visit Professor Marvel. Now we're there, we need to discard a courage card and 2 wonder cards. So we will discard courage, wonder, and well bust my buttons, which we can use as the second wonder card. And that completes the challenge. We get to place a second completion token, and the reward is to draw another special card. And we have drawn There's No Place Like Home. Choose a player to draw 2 cards from the story deck. I am going to play that card immediately, just to get some extra cards into my hand and see if we can do anything else before this turn ends. We have drawn Heart and Brains, and we can use both of those for movement. Before we do that though, we're going to swap a Brain card for a Wonder card, because we have to start amassing the Wonder cards to complete our song challenge. We will then discard a Heart card to move the farmhands 1 space. We're going down there to cheer up the chicken. Like so. Then I can discard this Brains card to move Dorothy 1 space. She has to run now. That's everything I can do in the storytelling phase, so I draw 2 cards. It's a Heart card and a Wonder card. And then we draw a plot card. Move the farmhands to the farmhouse. If the cow is happy, flip it to its grumpy side. If the twister is in a red space, move it 1 space. Well, that's a mixed bag because the farmhands go back to the farmhouse. The cow is already grumpy and it just stays grumpy, but then the twister does move because it is in a red space. If it moves 4 more spaces, it's game over for us. We start our new turn. Obviously, Dorothy is taking both of the movement points because she is running full pelt to beat that twister home. In the storytelling phase, the only thing I can do is discard 1 card. It's a heart that I don't need. And I'm going to use that to move Dorothy 1 more space. Then we draw 2 cards. We have found Courage and Magic. That's fantastic because we do need another Courage to complete the final challenge, and the Magic, of course, we can discard for movement. Let's see if we can outrun this twister. Move the farmhands to the haystacks. If the hog is happy, flip it to its grumpy side. Well, that's really good because it means the twister doesn't move this turn, the farmhands are moving towards the haystacks, and our pig does get grumpy. Overall, that was a really good plot phase for us though. At the start of our new turn, we get 2 movement points. Let's give them both to Dorothy. Remember, she needs to get to the haystack to sing her song. We are going to do a trade. We are going to trade a courage card we will need later for a wonder card we will need in a moment. And while I think we are in good stead to win this scenario as it is, I am going to play cautiously. I'm going to discard this magic card to give the farmhands 1 movement point. We're going to move to the pigsty to tell the pig a joke. And I think now we've done that, we won't need to worry about grumpy animals for the rest of the game. We draw 2 cards, Magic and Brains. And we draw a plot card. Move the farmhands to the haystacks, flip the hog to its grumpy side. If it was already grumpy, flip a different animal. So, good job we cheered that pig up, really. Farmhands go back to the haystack. They love it there. And the pig obviously didn't think the joke was all that funny. But it is the start of a new turn. We get 2 movement points. We are obviously going to give them both to Dorothy. That will get her to the haystack. And it's time to sing a song. At the haystacks, we can discard up to 4 wonder cards to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I have 4 wonder cards in my hand. So we discard all 4 and we sing the most rousing rendition of Over the Rainbow you have ever heard. Don't worry though, I'm not actually going to sing. I'm just going to put this completion token on the challenge. And because we discarded the maximum number of wonder cards, we get to gain 1 Glinda the Good Witch token and 1 card from the special deck. Glinda the Good Witch tokens are basically extra lives. If you're about to fail one of the scenarios, you can discard this token to restart the scenario. You may find that necessary if you are playing through all the scenarios as a campaign. You can also discard a token at any point to gain some story cards. Let's see what our special card is. It's a wild card. We can use this as any other type of card. That is fantastic because that has actually just won us the game. In our hand, we have a spare magic card. We can discard this to move 1 space. So we move to the farmhouse. We then need to discard 1 courage card and 1 brains card to complete this scenario. And thanks to that wild card, which we can class as a courage card, we can do that. We discard those 2 cards and we have completed this scenario. And I would say we have completed it with style. We got lucky with the plot cards and the twister did not advance as quickly as it could have done. But also we did really well getting all of the wonder cards we needed. But I think that about wraps up this playthrough. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.